Paddy, we're very excited that you're coming to Lewes on the 7th of September to perform your one-man play about Bernard Shaw, which you're going to do at the All Saints Arts Centre, one performance at 3 o'clock and the other at 8.
Well, I'm absolutely delighted to be coming to Lewes, because I've taken the show all over Ireland, north and south of the border, throughout England and London, and we've even taken it to Delhi. But This is the first time we'll be in Lewes, so yes, it's great.
Right. And what is it in particular that made you curious about this man?
Well, I was brought up in Dublin, and if you're brought up in Dublin, you feel that you know people like Shaw and Oscar Wilde and Samuel Beckett. They're all around, James Joyce, they're all around, because you know streets that are mentioned in their books and everything. And the actual thing that put me onto Shaw was, as an actor, I was looking for parts. And because I got into acting through a political view, I wanted to do stuff that was either Irish or political. And realised, of course, that Shaw was absolutely both. I mean, very Irish and very very political. Although not often regarded by a lot of English people as being particularly Irish. He was just regarded as a bit of an outsider and a bit of an eccentric. So it was that. I shared his politics. I was delighted with his wit. I didn't know really very much about his works, apart from the fact that he had written Pygmalion, which became My Fair Lady, and St. Joan, of course. We all knew about St. Joan. But I knew something of his wit, and I thought it would be interesting to study him.
So for those of us who don't know, what are his politics, or what were his politics in his day?
Well, he was... it's actually quite difficult to overstate how important he was during his lifetime and how influential he was. He bestrode the theatrical and political world like a colossus. I mean, his output was prodigious. He was a socialist, fundamentally a socialist. He said he became interested in politics because he couldn't understand why it was that some people lived on the fat of the land all their lives and never did a stroke of work, whereas so many more people had lived in abject poverty and worked really hard just to survive. And he thought there was something unfair and unequal about that. So he said he studied Marx, and he said that Marx made a man of him. And so politics was always very important for him. And he started off writing novels when he first came to London, quite unsuccessfully. He said 5 novels in as many years, and all of them rejected by all the major publishers in London and in America. Then he went and did music criticism and then theatre criticism, and realised that he wanted to use the stage as a way of expressing his political views. One of the things about Shaw's plays is that they are invariably plays about ideas, sometimes ideas that had never up till then been treated in the theatre. They're not just romances, or they're not just tragedies. They are plays about ideas.
And what kind of ideas do you think Shaw was trying to convey through his plays?
Well, his very first play was Widowers' Houses, which was based on slum landlords and rack renting and prostitution to some degree. And he then went on to write Mrs. Warren's Profession, which was very much on the topic of prostitution. In fact, he said, I compared Victorian marriage to prostitution, and in the balance, Victorian marriage didn't come out very well. Which is one of the reasons that it wasn't performed, well, not publicly, for about 25 years in this country. And when it was put on in New York, the entire cast and crew were arrested and put in jail while the judge read the play.
Okay. And do you think he has any relevance to us today? I can't really imagine that an old Victorian like him has much to say to us in the 21st century.
I think he has a great deal to say today. In fact, there's a speech that I put in the play about poverty, and you would think he was talking about food banks and the current state that the state of play that we are. He was talking about basic universal income before it had been considered as anything. He talked of it as pensions not just for a period of time, but for life and for everyone. And of course, people would have to earn their pensions. He wanted to redistribute wealth as well as equalising income. So he was very animated about that. He was very progressive in his support for women's votes. In fact, he was a feminist long before the idea of feminism became fashionable.
Wow.
So he was quite radical. He was also very, very radical in his views about homosexuality. He was one of the very few people who supported Oscar Wilde all through his trials, through his imprisonment, and afterwards. And in fact, as a drama critic, he would frequently, while Wilde was languishing in Reading jail, and his name was verboten in social circles in London, he would invariably, in his criticism, in his critiques of plays, he would quote Oscar Wilde and say, Oscar would have done it like this, and quote it to the detriment of the play that he was actually critiquing, and say how Oscar would have done it better, which was very good of him, I thought.
So, what parts of his life do you most enjoy bringing to life on the stage?
Oh, that's a difficult question. I love the part where we do the public man, because he's an awful show-off, and so am I. I get a chance to bring out some of his wit and his repartee, and it's satire as well. And I love doing that. And the way he talks about the theatre, he loved the theatre. He wasn't at all show businessy, but he loved the crafting of plays. He loved actors and actresses. He believed that what they were doing was vitally important, especially if they were reading his words. So I love that aspect of it. I also like the political side, because in the play I deal, as I said, with look at poverty. Also his involvement in Irish politics. It's not even known in Ireland the degree to which he supported the 1916 rising. Although he believed it would be militarily a complete failure, he wanted them to be well treated, and he was absolutely appalled at the summary execution of the leaders. And I do a bit in about Roger Casement in there, where he said that he wouldn't support Casement's not guilty plea, because he believed that he was guilty and he should, have a full frontal attack on the British system. But he said, I will write you a play that will echo down the ages, and he did, and we have it in the play. Okay.
And do you think, on the whole, he was better at making friends or enemies?
That's interesting, yeah, because Oscar Wilde said about him, he said, Shaw doesn't have an enemy in the world, but none of his friends like him. And there's truth in that. Shaw would agree with that and say something like, well, in fact, I think I say it in the play, well, it's true because I challenge them, because I challenge everybody, he said. And he said, they may not like me, but he said, some of them I know love me. And I think that was true as well. He was a very direct and personable man who didn't go in much for small talk. So he would, if he had something to say or some advice to give, he would be very direct in giving it, which doesn't always sit well with people.
Well, Paddy O'Keefe, thank you very much. I'm really looking forward to seeing the play on September the 7th in Lewes at the All Saints Centre. You can get your ticket, if you want to, from www.irish-theatre.com, or you can buy one at the door for £15. If you buy it online, it's cheaper.
Yes. Actually, I'll make a point about that. With regard to concessions, it's probably a Shavian thing as well. Concessions apply to all trades union members, including equity members.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you.